Hit the right button, Kevin. Hit the right button. There we go. Try it one more time. Let's try this button. Hello, everyone. It is once again ShiftLess, and once again from Casa Verde. We would give a round of applause, but it makes me sad because the applause is saved for somebody special, generally speaking, who was supposed to be with us today, and it just didn't happen. Damn it. Hello, Bradford. How are we doing today, my friend?
Just enjoying the sun and just still despising the wind. This wind is relentless.
I'm not riding my bike today outdoors. I can tell you that already.
Yeah, we did not have TNSS last night. I had my own TNSS. It was Tuesday night sawing. Just ran the saw for hours for the pine tree that fell in my front yard.
And how it looked like it was like, what, 1.5 feet wide?
Yeah, my bar wasn't quite big enough for the size of that tree, but I made it work.
How tall was that thing? Do you remember?
I don't know, 25, 30 feet. It was dead anyways.
Okay.
It was just a matter of time, and nature forced my hand.
Yeah, but far enough away from the house where you didn't have to put it at the top of the priority list.
Yeah.
Did it go in the street or anything? Or?
Oh, that's what's crazy is we have the street, and then at a 90 is our driveway, and then at a 45 is the circle drive. So the odds of it not falling on a driveway or the road are pretty low. It fell perfect.
Okay.
So it was good. And then it broke about, 12 feet up because the top just, and it was pretty interesting because the limbs were supporting it. So the thicker part of the trunk was just still in the air. So I had to systematically disassemble it. But then I was like, I might as well fall the rest of it while I'm here.
How long did that take you?
15 minutes, but it fell in the exact opposite direction that I wanted it to. I wasn't really worried about it because I wasn't going to hurt any there. But I did the whole wedge cut and everything. I thought I was doing the right shit. And then I did my relief cut on the back side. And all the limbs were on one side, so that's the way it wanted to fall. I was trying to fight it, but it just book right into the driveway. Hog.
Yep. I tried being Ben's assistant for a couple of days and realized that ain't for me. I'm going to hurt myself someday trying to figure that shit out.
I think he used about everybody in the cycling world that was receptive as a...
He was great to work with, and
yeah.
he does fantastic work.
Oh,
and it's like, I never would have been able to figure that shit out.
Oh, dude, it's overly complicated. I know I've went and helped him before, and I know Drum Ghouls went and helped him before, and I'm not sure who else. But it's very cool because I'm a gear junkie, and that is a very gear-rich environment.
What we're talking about is a friend of ours that does...
He's an arborist.
Does serious tree trimming, or has. I assume he's still doing it?
I think so. I've seen him take down some gigantic
stuff. One of the jobs I worked with him was a huge tree in between two houses, maybe 12 feet between the eaves of the houses, sort of thing. And this tree was taking up 6 feet of it.
It was a pucker factor of 10.
Oh, my God. This thing was huge. But man, it took us 2 days, but he took it down a piece at a time. It was impressive as hell. My brain doesn't work that way. I would hurt somebody or myself or do serious damage at the very least. But I got to admit, some of those tree trimming fail YouTube videos are pretty damned interesting.
They are entertaining. But I've also seen some of the ones where they skillfully drop a tree. Like I saw this one where they dropped, it looked like an 80-foot tree, and they dropped it, like you're saying, they had a margin for error like a foot on each side. They dropped it between the shed and the eave of this house, and this guy just perfect.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whew.
And this has everything to do with bicycles.
Not really, other than the fact that it's just a gear-rich environment.
And tree trimming got in the way of your traditional Tuesday night bicycle riding. The weather really got in the way is ultimately what happened.
We had 50-mile-an-hour gusts, and I do not want to be anywhere on a bike at 50-mile-an-hour gusts unless they're sustained tailwind. And it's point to point.
Yeah. Gus, yeah. How do you deal with that? You don't. Hell, tractor trailers can't deal with it.
Yeah. I also saw a video of all the partially constructed houses that got blown over yesterday. I was scrolling through TikTok or Reels, or it wasn't TikTok because I don't TikTok, and there was this housing inspector, and he was showing videos of all these houses that were just framed that were blown over. They were complete losses. They're going to have to start all over. Damn.
And still windy today. Not as windy.
No, but it's still obnoxious.
It's too much for me to take the bike out in as much as I would like to.
The contrast to all that is it's a beautiful day.
It's
sunny.
Gorgeous right now, being protected from the wind.
Yeah, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's just a Disney day almost, except for this wind. But cycling. First off,
I want to hear should we save it for when Caleb is here to talk about your adventures last week in any way that we're allowed to?
I don't think there's a lot that Caleb's missing out on. We can talk about it.
Okay, because I'm not up to speed on really any. I just know you guys were in one of my favorite corners of the world last week.
Dude,
I don't know much more about it than that at this point.
I can't tell you enough amazing things. Terlingua's magical. Caleb's firm was in charge of a photo shoot for a client, Shimano, for a product campaign.
That you can't talk about.
That I can't talk
in
about.
any detail.
It's the first NDA I've ever signed in my life. It felt cool.
You're a grown-up now.
And not only did we get to go to Terlingua, not only did I get paid to go to Terlingua, I got to hang out with kick-ass cycling people and got to cook food, met a bunch of people from Canada. The majority of the crew, the filming crew, was from Canada, Whistler, BC area.
Okay.
Super rad people. The girl that was running the shoot, so to speak, she just left Pink Bike.
Okay.
So she was with Pink Bike for 5 years on their production crew. She's a Rampage rider. So she's a baddie on a bike.
Okay.
And she was an absolute sweetheart. And here's where things get weird. She lives in Whistler, British Columbia. Turns out she's from Slidell, Louisiana. I was like, I knew we were going to get along. It's a small world, this cycling industry.
It's ridiculously small. And again, we talk about niche upon niche, but people don't realize how small our world really is.
Yeah, and I'm about to give you an example of it, which I thought was so wild.
Do tell.
So,
Lucy, baby.
The very first day, I think. No, I got there on Sunday. Everybody else showed up on Monday. I had gone for a ride. I think they got there and they went for a ride. I'm not sure if it was Monday or Tuesday. It's irrelevant. And I sat down with my phone. I was waiting for something to time, bread or something. And I started closing out tabs on my phone, and I had an Excel spreadsheet tab open, which on iPhone, when you go to close it, it opens up all of your Excel spreadsheets you've accessed recently. And I was like, why would I have had Excel open? And I scroll, and there's the results from DK 2012. And so I was like, I opened it, and I looked, and I was just scrolling around because I started thinking, I bet there's people on here that I didn't realize I knew at the time, or maybe there's people that I can't believe I beat or can't believe that beat me or whatever. And I start looking, and lo and behold, the Shimano rep, whom I just met, is on the results 30 minutes behind me. Never met the guy.
Nick or someone else?
Nick
Okay.
Legan. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, ooh, how am I going to bring this up in conversation? So that night, we're after dinner and everything, we're chatting. Everybody else had left. Our cabin was the gathering cabin. Everybody came there to eat and go over the game plan for the next day and all that stuff. And I just told him, I can't remember how I brought it up, but I was just like, what's crazy? I I beat you at Dirty Kanza. And he proceeded to tell me this long story about how his drivetrain failed and he had to convert his bike into a single speed. And he actually loved it so much that he went back the next year, and did it on an actual single speed.
Okay.
I was like, shit, just take the wind out of my sails. Because he was talking about how he had to hobble it together, and then it just kept jumping. And then he ended up taking the derailleur off and hobbling the cogs together, and they found somebody that actually had just quit that had a single speed conversion kit that they robbed from his bike and put on Nick's bike. And
I think
and
I've heard that story before.
And I was like, holy shit, how did I only beat you by 30 minutes? I felt like a complete piece of shit at that point. I was like, I should have kept it to myself. But it was interesting, and that's when we started talking about how small the cycling industry is. And I used to work in shops and with people and on products, and we started going down rabbit holes, and it was crazy how many crossovers we've had in the course of our time. So it was pretty interesting. And we talked about Shimano, and I think I have a renewed interest in Shimano.
Are you starting to lean that way a little more?
No,
potentially?
I realized a little fault in my own ways, and it was through talking to Nick that I came to this realization that where kind of the origin story of me becoming a SRAM boy happened. I've been in the cycling world for so long. Shimano was the only game in town forever.
Yep.
And so when SRAM came along, I was interested. At first, SRAM wasn't the greatest thing. And I think what happened was I was riding Shimano, and it was lackluster, and it could have been my particular group set and the adjustment and just the wear and tear and everything. But there was a hard point of contrast where my stuff was shifting like crap, got onto another bike, shifting crisp as could be, and I was immediately a SRAM fan, and then I didn't look back.
Mm-hmm.
After seeing some of the stuff I saw this week, I'm like, dude, Shimano really does think of so much stuff. They're so this is the thing Nick and I talked about is Shimano is historically, before SRAM came along, Shimano was first to market with everything because they were the leaders in the market.
They were the market, generally speaking.
So now they're not the first to market, but they're the best to market on a lot of things. They just do a lot of intelligent stuff. How about that? And so let's just say I'm more Shimano curious now.
Okay. I get where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I most assuredly do, because I know this is going to shock you.
Mm-hmm.
But at my core, I'm somewhat of an anti-establishment guy.
No. You?
I know. It surprises people all the time. So along those lines, when a big dog like Shimano
Mm-hmm.
may get a little complacent in the market,
Yeah.
or Garmin, or whoever else, I'm not against nosing around to the little guys that are coming up the market and might be innovating a little bit more. Part of how I got really dialed in with Wahoo along the way,
Yeah.
quite frankly. Now, I didn't dial into Wahoo because, it's somebody besides Garmin. It's because Garmin, what I felt at that time, was taking advantage of their customer base.
Yeah.
And Wahoo came along and had what I thought was a little bit better product, and they were more customer oriented and not as complacent in the market. And that was a good run for 5, 6, 7 years with Wahoo. But then Wahoo became complacent. And so things like that shift over time. The innovators, the up and comers, it's really hard to maintain that momentum. So that's when the Shimanos and the Garmins, they need those guys to kick them in the butt from time to time.
Yeah, you have to have people that challenge your position. It's the same thing in a race. If you've got nobody chasing you, then what's your incentive to go fast? If you've got nobody like trying to outdo you technologically speaking, you've got no reason to advance. I don't know. But there's also innovation without necessity. We've seen a lot of stuff that has changed, and you're like, well, why? So, I don't know. I saw a highlight on somebody's bike for, it was a gravel event. And they're running a 52 up front, and they've got the Explorer set out back, so it's a 13, and they're running a 1046. That is just a gigantic gear combination for a gravel bike.
I'm sorry. Run that by me again. 52
up front, and then a 1046
with
out back,
1046
13 speed. The SRAM's Explorer.
Okay.
And
You still can't go uphill with that.
oh, you can. You can go uphill. 5246 is almost a 1-to-1. You
Guess
think
so.
about, I mean,
There's a lot of 42 46s and people are going to 50s.
yeah. People are getting weak. People are getting soft. I saw, speaking of which, local guy, I can't remember his name. I wish I could. Cross timbers on a 3217, full pull, just over 5 hours. Ludicrous. Like 5,000 feet of climbing, 3217.
And you don't know who that was?
I'd have to look.
Okay.
It was posted. Dan Wynn posted and shouted him out. There's a challenge going on the cross timbers. If you can do the whole thing in under 6 hours, you get a free T-shirt or something like that.
I'm not familiar with it, but I believe you.
Yeah. I'm probably saying it all wrong, but it's definitely cross timbers, and it's definitely a full pull, and I don't know the time frame. But I was just more blown away that someone had the balls to take a 3217 to cross timbers and then proceed to stomp it. Big props.
I'm impressed that there's new single speeders out there that we don't know who they are.
That's true. That's true. I'm out of touch, Kevin.
But
I'm old and slow.
But is single speeding coming back? Is there a new movement of single speed that I'm not aware of?
I don't think single speeding ever went anywhere. Speaking of which, did you watch the video I sent you?
Which one?
The one about doping.
Yes, I did.
How interesting was that about the tour? And all the...
Be more specific.
Oh, maybe that was a different video. No, that was the same video.
What part are you talking about?
That the first and the second tour were so convoluted with cheating.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was common knowledge.
I guess I either knew that and forgot it or never knew it. But
they were hopping trains and hiring taxis and stuff like that.
It's crazy. But I was just thinking, as I was watching it, I was thinking about all the people that were so irate about the whole Lance Armstrong thing, myself included. And then when you think about the very first or the very second year, they had to go 5 people deep before they found someone that hadn't been cheating. And lo and behold, he had still hopped a train. And that was the youngest winner of the tour ever, still, at 19 years old. So I just thought it was crazy. Just these people were so driven that it was everything. They were throwing tacks in the road and just every tactic you can think of that was just underhanded. I was just blown away. Maybe we could put a link to that video in the video.
We can do that. Since you sent me a link, I can put that link in the description.
I'll try to send stuff.
The reality is money is the root of evil for many. I'm not going to say all evil.
Like my buddy Red says, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You throw a big pile of money in the mix, people are going to cheat.
Yeah.
Now, it's relative what a big enough pile of money is. But they were talking...
I think it was
comparable to $60,000 for the win or whatever. That
was a lot of money back then, if you think about it.
No, but it's comparable to $60,000 now. So it's $60,000.
Yeah.
So
if I had the chance to win $60,000, I would be very excited.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Would you give up all of your moral fiber and belief systems for that?
I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
And that's what I'm getting at. I don't know where that line is for other people. I know what my personal line is.
Yeah.
A couple bucks, a Snickers bar.
Oh, you would cheat somebody for a Snickers bar?
Oh, man. Hell yeah. But
look at that beautiful, majestic thing.
What?
You see that hawk right there?
I think the tree's
No.
blocking me.
Look.
Oh, there
Look.
it is. I see it now.
Oh my
I see
gosh.
it now.
That's a she.
The
That's awesome.
So along those lines,
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely been rumblings for definitely last season, prior to then as well, but there is high concern that the U.S. gravel pointy end of the field is there's some blatant cheating in there, and I'm wondering if this might be the year some of that comes to light or starts to come out along the Lance stuff from decades ago, sort of thing. You know, if it comes out that one of the top five, two of the top five, three of the top five,
It's a sad state of affairs, but I have to say I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think anybody would be surprised at this point.
And that sucks, doesn't it? Like, just that thought process, just knowing that I wouldn't be surprised is disappointing.
Exactly.
There in and of itself.
Exactly.
That being said, I'd still want to know who it was. But I think that there are a lot of people that could make it be quiet. You know?
Oh, it's again, the Tour de France over the decades or centuries or whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah.
UCI, USA Cycling, they've all tried to sweep things under the rug.
Because it looks bad overall for cycling.
I don't think it's for appearance sake. I think it's for survival's sake. Is what they're.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
But it's optics. How many sponsors can you think? Wouldn't you think a sponsor would go, oh, we really don't want to touch this until you get all the cheating and controversy out of it? Controversy.
And or maybe everybody at those corporate levels is pragmatic and knows the whole world's crooked anyway, and just don't be blatant about it, sort of thing.
That's possible too.
I think there's a lot of it because you go back to early 2000s, and people we knew were cheating in local mountain bike races, and it's like, why the hell are you going through this doping process for Cat 2 mountain bike racing in North Texas? But it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It's on every level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
So, and if dipshits like you and me, or that hang around in our circles, are cheating for just local legend pride and glory or whatever, I don't even know why anybody would do it at our levels, quite frankly. What is it like at those highest levels where Gravel Worlds has $100,000 prize purse this year just for one event? The lifetime purse. People have mocked it over the past couple years because Lifetime's getting a bargain for how many athletes they have involved at a relatively small annual payout. But now they're throwing in prize money at the individual events as well. So that's going a little bit up the level. These people are leaning tremendously on sponsorship dollars, and those sponsorship dollars are fewer sources and further between those sources these days. Right now, there's a lot of motivation for people to be crooked, trying to be at the pointiest end of the pointy end. There's no doubt about that.
I can't even imagine what the vibe is like amongst those guys.
It's got to be cutthroat as hell. It really does.
Yeah. It reminds me of Point Break when he couldn't surf the local wave.
Did you see there's a new Nick Cage movie coming out called The Surfer?
No.
We might have to do a watching party on that one.
Why didn't that guy just ride off into the sunset?
Because every once in a while he does something amazingly brilliant.
Like
Adaptation. That
was good. Okay.
Adaptation was really good. What's the one with?
It wasn't as good as Being John Malkovich, though.
No,
But
I think Cusack has a better track record than Nick Cage, but Cusack's track record has slipped past a decade or two as well. What was the one he did with Laura Dern and his rattlesnake jacket? That one was awesome.
Con Air?
No, it wasn't Con Air. It was hard.
National Treasure was awesome to me.
The first National Treasure was actually pretty good.
I love movies like that. I love the figuring out the puzzles and the archaeological dig kind of stuff. Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love all that stuff. But Laura Croft, Tomb Raider,
the
kind
one
of stuff.
Nick Cage did last year with Pedro Pascal.
Yes, that was cool.
That was pretty.
I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember the name of that. That was pretty. Where he's being himself or playing himself.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty interesting. Valley Girl, going way back in the day. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Raising Arizona.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. That's the top of the list. That's probably my top 3 movies of all time.
I think Nick Cage's most redeeming quality is his ability to make fun of Nicolas Cage.
There is some benefit to that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want him to walk off into the sunset. I want him to do more of his highest level work. But I will put up with Face Off to get another Raising Arizona.
What a great movie. Face Off. Johnny T.
Oh,
let's get back to bikes.
Let's go back to bikes.
You sent me a couple of links, Caleb and I, a couple of links. This one, specialized retail stores to offer chain waxing and Silka partnership. So I think this is a beautiful thing, but I think it's one of those common sense things. I don't know how Josh Portner got this worked in, but I love this. I'm a wax chain convert, but I have to say that back in the day, that's all we did was wax chains.
Right.
It's almost like a return to what we knew worked 30 years ago. When back in my shop days, we had a parts bin cleaner that was like a recirculating, astringent, I don't even know what you call it, some kind of cleaner that just got picked up from the bottom after it went through multiple filters and it got spit back through a hose. And you would put stuff in there and brush it off and clean it and then air dry it and maybe hit it with something else to clean it. And then it would get waxed. Your chain would get waxed and hung to dry and then reinstalled. And that's how chains were cleaned and waxed back in the day, which is where we are again with some of the top level performers. Most people are realizing that waxing is the way to go. The only reason I got away from waxing is because White Lightning came out as a chain lube, and it was so much easier, cleaner, and faster to apply because you didn't have to take your chain off. You didn't have to do all that. But I think this is brilliant. I hope it catches on, and I hope more people, start waxing their chain by whatever means necessary. But I also love to see Silka get their hand in that, and I am a big fan of the Silka Secret Chain Blend Wax. So I'm a big fan of this.
I'm hoping that all recorded. I've been glancing at the screen for the past 30 seconds, and there was a giant message error with an exclamation point.
Perfect.
I don't know how long that had been up there, but just as you finished that statement, that message went away.
Okay.
So it may not have recorded anything you said there, but it seems to be recording everything I'm saying at the moment.
It's got selective hearing, just like my wife.
I think I've seen that message before, and everything worked out okay. I think so. I hope we've recorded something this morning.
Have you experienced a wax chain yet?
I have.
Yeah.
I have, but I am not
A convert yet?
I'm not a convert. It's a lot of work. It's a pain in the ass.
But it's really not. Here's the trick. If you want to get into a wax chain situation, next time you buy a chain, before you install it, wax it.
Understood.
That's the easiest way.
I understand completely.
If you're a conventional lubricant on your chain person, it is a little difficult to get into the waxing game. Plus, the benefits of waxing an old chain are not as great as waxing a new chain.
A brand new chain on a brand new bike.
Especially with Silka, the way
that's what I should do then with the state.
Yeah.
I should just go ahead and wax the chain.
I've got the whole setup in my garage. The beautiful thing about waxing a new chain is with Silka, they have their smart chip. And so you don't have to strip the packing oil off of your chain. It does it automatically. And through this beautiful process called oleofication, it emulsifies it. Don't ask me how it happens. It emulsifies
There's videos on that.
There is. But literally you put your packaged chain, fresh out of the package, into this after you melt your wax and put your smart chip in there, and it gets to the right temperature, and you wax it, and you agitate it after 10 minutes, and then after the next 10 minutes, I think it is, I'll have to look at it again, you pull it out and hang it, and that's it. And then lightly break the links loose and install it, and it's good to go. It's a beautiful thing.
What I think is a beautiful thing, quite frankly, is what Josh has done with Silka.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like he's a marketing genius. He really is.
But the level of help in the videos and the amount of subjects he covers, but I guess you have to back up how much he listens to what people want to know and hear.
I bet he's got at least 3 digits of IQ.
Oh, dude. He might be a little spectrumish. He's way smart. I think Silk is just a badass brand. That's another one that I was standoffish about for a while when they ceased being Italian.
Yes.
And he acquired the rights and brought everything stateside. I was like, doesn't have the same soul now. I think I secretly thought that. I don't know if I ever verbalized it.
I know you thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm maybe arguably a bigger fan now than I ever was. Silka's always had, in my mind, just high level quality. I love their branding. I love their styling. I love their colorways on all their stuff. I have a Silka pump that's 10 years old that is still just super badass. Now, the thing is, they're spendy. Some of their stuff is spendy, but like our friend Jay Clark used to always say, buy once, cry once. Yeah. Like I said, I have a Silka pump that's 10 years old that it's been used and abused, and it still looks brand new.
But sometimes it goes the other way as well.
Yeah.
I mean, my Gen 1 Toe Peak Joe Blow pump from 2003 was the best pump I ever had, and it lasted damn near 20 years.
Yeah.
I think I lost it. And I went through numerous buy once level pumps in the interim that didn't work pieces of crap.
So the difference between the only thing I'll say is the reason I love stuff like Silka is it's all machined. The head for the pump is machined, and then the barrel is machined, and it's all modular. If one piece of that fails, you can contact Silka and go, hey, I need a new piece this.
I get that completely.
Yeah. Whereas Toe Peak had a silicone-like hose coming off of it, and the head was plastic, and the grommet inside is a rubberized plastic, and the base was probably metal, but the handle's plastic, whereas the Silka wood handle, aluminum barrel, aluminum foot, braided hose, all machined aluminum head, and they used to have a leather gasket in them to make the seal, and you have to put oil on it. So
I understand.
I'm a big fan of something that's repairable instead of replaceable, and especially a company that makes products like that and then services them, meaning that they keep back stock on parts and stuff. So that's where I'll give the nod. But Toe Peak makes great stuff. I'm not shitting on Toe Peak. And then Lezyne makes great stuff.
My primary is Lezyne now at the moment.
Yeah, they make some really cool stuff.
I acquired, somebody left behind at one of our events, one of those specialized all metal pumps.
Oh yeah.
That thing's, it's a tank.
Yeah.
It's been through, it's the one that gets tossed around in the spinistry trailer, thrown in the back of the truck. And it's been through so much abuse over the years.
Yeah.
It's always on display at the water tables or at the start finish line. I keep waiting for somebody to go, hey, I think that's my pump.
I'm pretty sure I've used that pump.
I bet you have. I think everybody has at one time or another.
I think, though, a lot of times when you look at a company that has, let's just take Toe Peak or Lezyne. When you look at it and they have 6 different floor models of models of floor pumps, like my thought is always don't buy the cheapest one.
Right.
But my
right.
other thought is
Don't
don't
buy
buy
the
the
most
most expensive
expensive
one.
one.
Yeah. So I usually split the difference and then go up.
I'm
one.
usually in the 2/3 range
Yeah.
is what I like is
Yeah.
where, but that's where you have to do your research and say, oh, it's got this gasket or whatever
Yeah.
else. You have to know where that critical difference
Yeah.
really might lie.
Because on both ends of the spectrum, if I buy the cheapest one and it lasts for a year and then it starts to deteriorate or parts of it break or something, I feel like an asshole because I bought the cheapest one. But if I buy the most expensive one and it starts to fail in a year, I feel like an asshole too. Generally, I just feel like an asshole.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Silka and Specialized were that deeply in bed now.
Yeah, I don't know where that bridge was made, but
It's interesting. Is
Yeah.
all that's all I was. I think that we'll likely see more downstream.
what else did you send me? I was looking at Shimano's website. Sorry.
No, that's all right. The Intense and QBP.
Yeah, what up with that? Let me
I-
pull that up. Intense Cycle works to solve IBD challenges. Independent bicycle dealer
Independent
is what
bicycle dealers is IBD.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if I read that correctly, like you said, it was a lot of words.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of words. My takeaway from it was, you tell me if I'm wrong, basically Intense is selling a frame. So as an independent bike dealer, I can order the Intense frame, and it includes essentially credit towards packages that can be facilitated by QBP for basically any parts group combination I want, as opposed to I buy this 2025 Intense frame and it comes with this SRAM build kit, or it comes with this Shimano build kit.
Yeah.
I can mix and match however I want to. That was my takeaway from it. Is that about what you read?
That's what it sounds like. Like you said, there's a lot of word salad here. They made it overly complicated from the way they set it out. But
They
it
threw a
says-
lot of marketing speak in there. I think Caleb needs to go in there and clean that press release up.
But the heart of the whole article is this short paragraph. It says frame first, which is what they're calling the program, places the dealer at the center of the bike purchase journey, empowering them to deliver incredible value to riders without taking a risk on inventory. By offering custom build kits for Intense frames, Quality Bicycle Products is a crucial partner in helping retailers leverage the Frame First program to grow their business. So basically, they'll have an Intense build kit that identifies every part that you need to fulfill that frame or build out that frame. And so once they identify the frame, if somebody goes, I want the Intense blah, 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 whatever
Right.
model it is,
Right.
then the retailer, the bike shop, your LBS, can log on to QBP and go, we're building this Intense blah, 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 and it'll give you a rundown of, all the components you need, and there may be like a slot A where it just auto-fills it with everything SRAM, or slot B, or vice versa, whatever. I'm not trying to
Right.
line one against the
Right.
other. All Shimano, and then you can piece and part seat posts, seat grips, bars, stem, blah, blah, blah.
My takeaway from it goes back to, I think one of our pet topics that we've talked about is how complicated it is these days, even at the bike shop level, to know what parts work with what parts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's essentially what, because my biggest regret about the current cycling market myself is I loved putting together, when we all had custom bikes, get a frame set and build it out however you wanted to, because basically all the parts bolted to all the bikes, generally speaking.
Yeah, and now you have to have a freaking spreadsheet to figure out what works with what and where and everything else. I would hope that this is going to eliminate that, although I bet there's still some issues.
Oh, see, that's the thing. Okay, this works great for Intense.
Yeah.
We're still at Intense has these specifications for their headsets and bottom brackets and axle spacing or whatever else.
Yeah.
Semi-boost, non-boost, partial boost, whatever.
And I'll tell you this, I love my local bike shop. I think Gabe is a just wealth of information when it comes to all that stuff. But he still gets stumped.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I ordered brakes for my most current build, and I don't know if it was a mishap or if it was just an oversight or what, but instead of post mount, he ordered flat mount. It's not like I needed it the next day to go for a race or something, but it did delay my build. And there was a couple of things that I ran into, but that shit happens. And I'm sure that there's probably some Sheldon Brown level nerd out there that has every frame and fork that says this is what you need. You can probably cross-reference it somewhere, or you could probably do it through Chat GPT or AI these days.
I wouldn't. I definitely would not lean on. I'll tell you what. Nico is pretty close.
Yeah, that guy is way smart.
Yeah.
I've had brief interactions with him enough to know, damn, I need to hang out with this guy more.
He knows his stuff.
He lives right here in Argyle too.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah,
he likes to ride bikes.
Yeah, he does ride bikes.
What else did I send you? I can't even remember now.
I can't remember either. Oh, this was a recreational bicycling access tool. Which,
from REI and peopleforbikes.org?
Yeah, People for Bikes, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Once again, a lot of information.
And it's basically useless.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I'll link the news release, press release.
Yeah, but you can get very granular
about
on
the
this map.
The concept is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's an interactive map that lets you see basically cycling infrastructure down to supposedly mountain bike trails and gravel roads and everything everywhere in the country. You can zoom in anywhere and see all this stuff. Unfortunately, the data is not very accurate at this time. I'm hoping it gets better.
And I don't know who is responsible for populating this either. That's the other part, because like I'm looking at Shreveport and I know that there are mountain bike trails and paths and stuff there.
I don't think it even has knob hills on it, for example.
Yeah. I don't know who's doing it.
And that's my point. And quite frankly, you talked about utilizing AI and Chat GPT. That's what Chat GPT would do. It would go into this database to try to answer the questions about routes. And if Chat GPT is referencing a flawed database to begin with, garbage in, garbage out is as fundamental as it gets. And I'm not saying this trying to justify my own existence, because it's not where I'm going at here. I put a lot of work into verifying routes because I haven't found a better way to do it. You have to go out there and physically verify this stuff. There's no way around that. And lots of people are looking for the Chat GPT solution to, I want a 75-mile gravel route within 18 miles of my house.
Yeah, good luck with that.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
Is the reality of it.
You can spend 6 hours scouring Google Maps to try to put together a route, and you can piece something together from Ride with GPS or Strava or whatever, but inevitably you're going to get to a road that's closed,
a bridge that's out,
or
a road that doesn't exist at all anymore.
Yeah.
Or, that's a gated community.
Can't tell you how many routes I've been on that we've pieced together through those previously mentioned efforts and been wildly disappointed.
It's part of the adventure. It's not an adventure until something goes wrong.
Yeah, and you're never lost until you run out of gas or beer. I've been on multiple rides. Wood Ape Ramble is the one that sticks out the most, because we literally did, I say we, it was Shannon and Sean and myself tried to piece that whole thing together through Google Maps, which was, in retrospect, was an awfully ambitious thing to do. And we quickly realized how flawed that effort was when we got there and thought, we're just going to take off and ride it. And within the first 3 miles.
I was about to say, I doubt you even made it two or 3 miles.
Yeah. We were like, okay, where the fuck are we going? It was comical at best.
I remember Sean posting like his first iteration of the route.
Yeah.
And I glanced at that's Wow. Just at the loop, I'm surprised it works that simply. Let's zoom in on stuff. And I zoomed in on a couple of things. And what about this? What about that?
We're going to find out.
Oh, it's there on the map. That's not the way that works.
Oh, Sean's so
But he
cute.
made it work. He pushed through.
Yeah. The other thing that was so funny in retrospect about it is we're like, oh, it's only 110 miles. And we were like, we'll get this done in a day or 2 days, I think was our goal. And we get there, and I think the first day we only made it like 30 miles because of all the reroutes.
I was about to say, that looks like a 30-mile-a-day type adventure.
It was fun. You learn stuff. You got to take those steps to learn stuff. It's just like the first time you go bike packing, like we've talked about before. Don't get ambitious. Don't try to ride 70 miles and camp somewhere that you've never been with equipment you've never used. Ride from your house. Ride 20 miles and set up camp in somebody's backyard or something. But that was the thing that I regretted about Terlingua. I did not bring my hammock. The weather was amazing. And the house that we stayed in, that's the other thing.
It had posts?
Yes. And they were perfectly spaced. And the stars, there was no moon. The stars were, excuse me, out of control.
The night skies there are absolutely astounding. So I'm glad you went there because I was about to try to steer it back to Terlingua because I don't think we really finished talking about it. So the cabin, where did y'all stay?
We stayed off of Gate Road 2. Let me see.
So that's towards the south end of the ranch, correct? Closer towards Terlingua proper?
We were Study Butte is where we were.
Mm-hmm.
We were
Studi Butte, but yeah.
Studi Butte.
I Texas stuff, I don't know.
It's Study. Don't try to change English. Cottonwood Grocery.
Yeah.
We were like maybe 4 miles from there.
Okay.
We were.
Is that east or west of the highway? If you're going up from Terlingua, is it a right turn or a left turn?
When you're coming from Alpine on 118, it's left. And
okay.
We were just a couple miles back. The road that we were on was awesome too. Trying to see.
I've got routes through that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. I know it's shocking. Got some amazing stuff through there actually.
I was trying to see
Yeah, that's on the south side of that Christmas Mountain stuff,
yes,
right?
Yes, we could see Christmas Mountain from where we were.
No, it's that same general area where Caleb's buddy's place was.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were like 3 miles from his place. Yeah.
Okay.
Gorgeous area, but this cabin that we stayed in was, I say cabin, it was a house, a 3-bedroom house. It was so perfect on the piece of property it was on. We were up on this like outcropping almost. The road just fell off around us. Mm-hmm. And it had sliding glass doors all the way around. The kitchen was attached to the living room, and the roof angled up to take in the sun. And the sunrise was on one side of the house, and you could see the sunrise and sunset from the living room. And this house was brand new. It was built in 2022.
Okay.
And I was cooking, so I brought, like my wife likes to say, I brought half my kitchen. Got there, I could have not brought anything.
You could have got by with what was already there.
It was amazing.
That's.
I've never been to a place that was so well appointed.
Nice.
It was impressive. Plenty of countertop space to work on.
That wasn't a $75 a night cabin, though.
So that's what I was getting at. All my accommodations were covered, so I was spoiled. And while I was talking to my wife at one point, I was like, I want to bring you, because she's never been to Terlingua. She doesn't even see the allure. And I'm like, I want to bring you here. And she's, we should go. And I said, no, I want to bring you here.
Here.
And so I sent her the listing, and she was looking it up. She's, oh my God, it's $1,200 a night. And I was like, sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then
and worth every penny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing is, it was only like maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles off the road. It wasn't like way back.
Right.
And she goes, let me look and see if there's better months. And she goes, oh, in July we could stay for $500 a night. I go, you do not want to be here in July. Because even when we were there, it got into, I think, most days, except for one day when we had a little cool front, windy day come through. It hit 90 degrees, but it's 4% humidity.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Paula wants to go. Jan was the same way for the first couple of years that I was going down there.
Yeah.
She's like, it's just dust and desert. And after a while, after hearing all the stories, she was like, next time you go, I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, you bet your ass. And now she's like, when are we going back to Big?
Yeah.
We should have been down there last week.
It was so perfect. So perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better. And the other thing is all of my meals landed.
Nice.
Everything went as perfect as I could have expected it to go. That's always a good thing.
Can you give me the snapshot rundown of the menu for the trip?
Yeah, so I was only responsible for lunch and dinner, which was awesome. I still did get up and watch the sunrise every day, which was beautiful because they were looking for daylight, like sunrise and sunset.
Magic hour.
Yes, I'd wake up, have coffee, watch the sunrise by myself. It was it was therapeutic borderline. So without getting crazy in too many details, first night I did our desert meal. I did red wine braised short ribs and beef cheeks over grits with homemade salsa. The next day for lunch, I did a grazing setup for them with homemade chicken salad, pimento cheese, homemade crackers, meats and cheeses and nuts and dried fruits and olives and all the business.
You're talking again. It's giving me the right error again. But keep going. I think it catches up.
It doesn't like me. And then that night, I did miso marinated sea bass, forbidden rice, roasted vegetables. I did a salad for both of those nights, and then sourdough and homemade butter, obviously. And then I did dessert that night. I did the black sesame miso Rice Krispie treats. And then
I remember those.
The next day for lunch, I did 3 meat burgers. I did bison, wagyu, and elk burgers. I figured that was appropriate for the desert.
Yeah.
Plus, I was trying to flex Texas a little bit.
I feel you.
For the Canucks.
I feel you.
And I did salt crusted potatoes with those. But I brought baskets and paper liners just to make the whole experience. And then for dinner that night, we had pulled pork sliders. So we did Hawaiian rolls. I did honey roasted jalapenos, bourbon barbecue sauce, homemade coleslaw, homemade potato salad. We did Memphis style, so the coleslaw was intended to go on the slider.
That's the way I like to do it.
I think it's a beautiful thing. And then the next day for lunch, I did homemade baguettes and did Italian-style hoagies. So shredded lettuce. I did a balsamic chili mayonnaise, assorted sliced meats, mortadellas, capicola, sopressata, calabar, red olive oil, Texas olive oil, sea salt, and then force wrapped them. I think that's key in those sandwiches. You force marinate everything. And then we just did chips that day. And then that night, I had a whole pork butt that went untouched the night before. Because I bought 2. I bought a package of 2, but they were smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to make gnocchi that night, but I pivoted because I was like, I make something when I have something already made. So I went to the Cottonwood store and got tortillas, limes, and sour cream.
Okay.
And I had avocados, which I was weirded out that nobody ate any of the avocados because I had a big bowl of whole fruits and avocados and snacks and stuff so they could take the night before for breakfast and leading up to lunch. So I made guacamole and I heated up all the tortillas. It was a glass top stove with the electric element underneath. They had canola oil there at the place, and I just went and spritzed the glass top and just heated the tortillas straight on top of the glass top.
Okay.
Worked beautiful. Every one of them went funk, puff. And I was like,
I have a glass top stove. I'm going to have to play with that.
Worked amazing. Did not leave a mess at all. It was awesome.
Ooh.
It's just like pancakes, though. The first 2 sucked, and then after that, golden. So I heated up the pulled pork just in a pan and then shredded it as it got warm. I had homemade salsa left over. We had more honey roasted jalapenos, tortillas, obviously. And then I did diced onion, cilantro, and lime wedges, just classic taco bar. And they were blown away. They ate, there was the one kid, the pro, ate 9 tacos. He was a trash compactor, and he was a tiny kid. But he was also riding like 5 hours a day.
Right.
In between photo shoots, he's, do I have time for a 3-hour ride? And they were like, sure. And I was like, geez. This kid was amazing.
What did the Canadians think of Big Bend?
Oh, they were blown away. I think they said something to the effect of, if I would have known this was Texas, I would have been here sooner. And I was like, that's the thing you don't understand is there's 5 different regions in Texas.
Yeah, at
This
least.
is just one part of Texas. Then you got Hill Country, you got West Texas, you got East Texas, North Texas. It's all different. You got coastal Texas. It's pretty amazing. But they were also flabbergasted by how big Texas is, because they all flew into El Paso and then drove down.
Thought it was just going to be a hop, skip, and a jump.
And then drove down to Terlingua. And the girl, Christina, was like, I didn't realize how close we were to Mexico. And I said, but you were just as close when you were in El Paso. I said, do you realize when you were in El Paso, you were like right next to the Rio Grande? And I said, and then you drove all the way down here and you're still right next to the Rio Grande? She says, oh, I didn't think about that. It was fun. We had a lot of Texas, Canadian discussions and stuff. And they talked. The first night, I was just cooking and hanging out and not really participating in the conversation. And they got into a bunch of hockey discussions and stuff. And so the next day, the Canadians showed up for everybody else. And I go, I heard you guys talking about hockey yesterday. I said, but can we talk about the real Canadian national treasure now? And they're like, what's that? And I go, curling. And they're like, oh, yeah. Their production company has their own curling team. And I was like, quit messing with me. Quit flirting with me. Curling is one of those things that I want to do so bad. And it's such a, like, maybe quasi-dorky thing, but I love watching curling. Like I told him, I said, it's the highlight of the Winter Olympics for me. I love the curling part. But anyways, it was tremendous fun. I got to ride my bike down there. The road we were on was good in places and torture in places. From our place, heading further into the park, essentially, was fairly uphill, moderate, and a lot of times it was into the wind. So it was slow going, headed out, and it was deceptive because you're like, I need to turn around. This is taxing because I'm going to go back. It was just an out and back the way I went every day. And then you turn around and it'd be pretty much downhill and tailwind.
Right.
So all these loamy gravel sections that you were creeping through because you didn't have any momentum and you were headed uphill and into the wind, and it was so thick that it would steer your bike for you. We were coming back through and doing 15, 18, 20 miles an hour, and so you could just float across them and just kill it. It was so much fun. Had such a good time. And like I said, the weather was amazing the whole time. And the only reason I got invited down there this time was because there's really not much food to be had down there on your own. And so my whole thought process was I brought everything I needed until I made that pivot to go to tacos. It was good. I asked them, I said, so how do I get on the preferred vendor list for your production company? And they were like, oh, you're already there. So
Nice.
Hopefully I get a little bit more work out of this. That would be fun because it was awesome. So awesome.
Which bike did you take?
The Chimba.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was the
Appropriate.
Right bike. Yeah, the Aspens did really well there, except for the places that they didn't. But I think every tire was the wrong choice for that terrain because it's just, it changes so much. You've got hard pack, just super fast gravel, and you've got really loose, like those arroyos that you go through. They're either thick with sand or thick with gravel. And then the tarmac, those tires are fine. I did take that same bike on a ramble this past weekend on Sunday, and we did the Sycamore Bend Trail, and I was really surprised. No flats, no issues, no nothing. My plan is to just ride those tires until they destroy, and I already have backup tires.
There you go. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
What is that? What is
That's
that?
wind. This effing wind. It won't give up. So I saw you have a bike on the back of your vehicle, and then I haven't been on the socials much, but I did see that you acquired a new state bicycle.
Yes.
And is it the titanium or is it the steel?
No, this is the steel.
Okay.
This is the
Is that what's on the back of your vehicle?
That is.
So I want to see that after we're wrapped up here.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
It is what they call their 4130.
Mm-hmm.
This is generation 2. They just came out with this version in the past month or so.
Okay.
A little bit more tire clearance, UDH compatible.
Okay.
Or actually UDH. And
The 4130 all-road?
yes,
Okay. It's literally the marquee on their website.
it's a $999 bike at full price.
Bullshit. Get it, dude?
$999.
As it sits in this picture, does yours set up flat bar?
Nope. I have
Okay.
I have the drop bar set up. The
Okay.
flat bar is actually cheaper. It's another $100 cheaper, I think. The flat bar is.
And yours came with mountain bike tires on it like this?
I
Oh, okay.
I opted for the 700s with the 38s,
Okay.
and they're a big 38. They look. I'll let you look at them. They look like
Yeah,
a 40 or 42, but already they are tubeless ready tires, so it was good to go tubeless.
Did you get the Run the Jewels valve caps?
I didn't. I went as basic as possible, completely intentional.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
What's the cheapest bike they have that will get the job done?
Yeah.
$999. Great deal, right?
That is insanity.
You want to hear real insanity? Club Spinistry members get a 25% discount.
My mind, like now you're at like department store pricing,
Exactly.
but for a moderately appointed bike. Like there's no reason that someone couldn't take that bike. Now, here's my question.
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask. Did it come set up tubeless?
No.
Okay.
It didn't. It came with tubes,
Okay. That's what I was going to say.
but it's tubeless ready tires.
Sure.
So
That's what
tape and valves, and you're
yeah.
good.
So that's what I was going to say. There's no reason to think that someone couldn't buy this bike, take it to their shop, or do it themselves, and convert it to tubeless and go out and do Red River Riot.
That's what I was wanting to check.
Yeah.
That's what I was wanting to check.
No reason somebody couldn't do that.
We'll leave it at first. I just had my first ride on it yesterday, and first impressions are it's completely capable.
Yeah.
No, I have no compunction about pointing anyone that direction if they need their first bike.
That's a big word, compunction. I haven't heard that one in
Compunction junction. No, that's not how that works.
quite a bit. This is not a bad looking bike. The reason I asked if it was tie or steel is because they offer a tie full build too, but the color that I saw in the picture of yours was,
It's the raw steel,
yeah. So I couldn't, that's why
and
I
it
couldn't
looks
tell.
sexy.
It does. It does. But that's why I couldn't tell which model
I
it
understand.
was.
Make no mistake. I am infinitely curious about the tie one,
Yeah.
but my point is this. I want to find a bike that the people that are not comfortable going to a bike shop for whatever reasons, and I don't want them to go to Walmart or
Yeah.
Academy Sports to buy their first gravel bike. So the idea is, all right, you buy this for $1,000. If you're a Club Ministry member, you get $250 off of that. Take that $250, go to your shop, let them put it together properly for you. Make sure it's dialed in for your fit. Convert you to tubeless,
Yeah.
and you're good to go. So I did a video.
Double check all your wheels too. Let them go over your wheels. Yeah.
I did a video. I took it to Nico and had him put it together. I wanted his feedback on the bike as well. So we get Nico's opinion on the bike and
Very
the
cool.
components and everything like that as well. Again, I've ridden it once
Yeah.
for less than 45 minutes.
What
and
size did you get?
I got the medium.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Understood.
That is impressive. Because I would say if you're gravel curious, I would say get something like this Ride the dog piss out of it.
Ride the dog piss out of it. Find out what you don't like about it, and that points you in the right direction when you're ready to spend $3,000 or $4,000.
Or if you love it, just upgrade the components as they don't suit you anymore.
Dude, this bike's ridiculous.
Yeah. Any idea on the weight? Is it a hefty bike? Is it?
Considering I've been riding mostly e-bikes the past year.
Yeah, getting it on the rack is relatively easy. Yeah, that makes.
I would guess it's a 25-pound bike. That's my guess.
Okay, that's fair.
But you're more than welcome to caress it and weigh it.
Yeah.
When
I don't weigh bikes. I was just curious.
pick it up and go, oh, that's heavy, or that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I'll let you determine that on your own.
And what components are on there? You said it's a 12-speed, right?
It's 12 speed, and it's technically all state. Everything's branded state on it. What is it really? We don't know.
Yeah. I'd be curious.
A good guess would be the shifters and derailleur or micro shift. That's a good guess.
Yeah.
But it's branded state. It has the cable actuated hydraulic brakes.
So it's cable over hydraulic, yeah.
TRP is famous for. Would that be realistic to expect those to be maybe really TRP brakes?
It's very possible. There are a couple of other companies that do that.
Understood.
I'm looking at you, Taiwan. Dropper post ready.
Dropper post ready.
Mounts for 3 water bottles, racks, fenders.
More than 3. It's got mounts for 3 water bottles just on the frame. Then you have the fork mounts too. Yeah, check it. Yeah, look it over, and you're welcome. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you find something about it you don't like. I was expecting it to be a perfectly adequate bike. I did not expect to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I did not expect to be wowed.
Yeah.
By it the way that I have been so far.
Oh, and the bar's got 33% flare, or 33-degree flare. My bad. Man, that's pretty. Look, even if I do find something wrong with it, you can't find anything wrong with that price. This day and age, especially being a Spinistry member, being able to buy a bike that only needs pedals and cages.
Oh, it actually came with pedals.
Did it really?
It came with flats.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah.
that was okay. The stock pedals suck. Don't plan to do something else. Everything else is good to go out of the box. Those stock pedals were terrible.
But I mean, that's literally just a.
Oh, and in the drop down, you can get their nice pedals for $19 or something like that.
That's what I was looking at. You can modify this thing any way you want. It's pretty cool.
I wanted to go with the bare bones and start from there and say, okay, what comes up short?
Yeah.
And so far, the only thing I found are the pedals.
Oh, and you can even add bottle cages on here while you're on here too.
You can add You can get both sets of wheels. You can get the 650 B wheels and the 700.
You can add a tubeless kit.
You can add the tubeless kit.
This thing, they thought of just about everything.
And you get 25% discount on all that stuff with the Club Spinistry membership.
So maybe you could just add 200 or 25% more stuff on here and just still be
yeah. I mean, you could get the suspension fork, or you could get the carbon monster fork, or whatever.
That's pretty incredible.
Stupidly ridiculous. This was not meant to be a state commercial by any stretch of the imagination, but at this point I'm gonna give kudos to state. The only drawbacks that I said, the pedals and the box that it came in was beat to absolute dog shit when I got it by UPS. But I've heard from others that's super regular with the state stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they may be reusing boxes for return, because I'm pretty sure they've got one of those guarantees that you can return it for any reason sort of thing. I'm sure a lot of people do. That's just the nature of mail order business. I'm guessing they reuse boxes, but that's just a guess at this point.
Yeah. That's very freaking cool, but also a little bit spooky. If I was other bike companies, I would be a little scared.
It's steel. The newer riders all want to be on carbon because that's what they're convinced is what's cool. All right. I don't think, does they even have a carbon bike? Yeah, I think they do.
I don't think they do.
Maybe not.
I'm on their warehouse deals now.
Understood.
Let me see.
I know they have an aluminum one.
Oh yeah, carbon all road.
Okay. How much is their carbon all road?
let's just check. $19.99.
Okay, it's a $2,000 bike.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Which is pretty wild considering the frame and fork is $1,300.
so a steel bike $1,000, an aluminum bike $1,500, a carbon bike $2,000, and
Yeah.
a titanium bike $2,500, full build.
Yeah, that's
And you get 25% discount on any of those.
wow.
So think about that. So if you, and actually one of the club's ministry members reached out to me today to get onto the coupon list, and he's going to buy a Thai one is what he was going to buy. So you think about, so what's 25% of 2,500 is
$500.
no, that's 20%, isn't it?
I don't know. Let me get my calculator real quick. I don't know. I was just trying to do it off the top of my head. It's $500,
Is
I
it?
think. Let me hold up. I'm unlocking my phone. 2,500 times 0.25. $625.
$625.
My bad.
$625 off
Yeah.
a Thai bike.
That's insane. That's almost the price of a steel bike from them. That is impressive.
Damn, I might have to go buy the Thai bike when I get home.
That is crazy.
But again, this isn't a state commercial. That's not the intent at all. The Thai bike might suck. I don't expect it will.
I don't. But it's a matter of perspective, too. And don't get me wrong, how much disappointment are you realistically going to have when you spend $750 on a bike?
exactly.
You can't hold it to race level.
And if anybody wants those higher step states, more power to them. I have no problem with that myself. I was looking at it strictly from the true entry level perspective. Somebody that needs their first bike or wants to try out gravel, if they're a roadie now or a mountain biker, they don't want to throw a bunch of money at a gravel bike yet. Fantastic. Get this for $750 and learn what you can from it. And then 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, go out and buy your whatever boutique bike you want at that time, because then you're going to have a better idea what you really want. And make no mistake about it, I like cool blingy bike stuff too.
Yeah, but even if the way I like to look at it is, if you bought this bike and you got the discount, you could ride it for a year and turn around and sell it and maybe lose $200. So you're effectively renting this
Maybe.
bike for a year plus and turn around and buy whatever bike you've decided does the things or
Right.
has the things that this bike doesn't have. I see it as a win all the way around.
I'm tempted to pick up a few of them and just turn them into rental bikes, because I hear from so many people on a regular basis that want to. Where can I rent a gravel bike? Rent it for $200 a week.
Yeah,
You know, rent it out 3 or 4 times a year and it's paid for,
yeah.
sort of thing. But anyway, that's the state story. Obviously, first day impressions are not long-term impressions.
Sure.
But I'm looking forward to putting some miles on it and finding where the shortcomings may actually lie.
And they do quite a few just cool things, collaborations. They have, I can't believe you didn't check out
so close.
the Bob Marley.
So
collab.
close. I could not justify it.
Yeah.
Now, if it were a Bob Marley edition of the carbon bike, the Thai bike, the aluminum bike, the steel, any of those,
Yeah.
the gravel bikes, if it had been an all-road one, I couldn't have passed it up. I need a new Rasta frame. I just couldn't do it for a clunker.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to have a clunker, it would be like me having a fat bike. It would just never get ridden.
Yeah. But they have Bob Marley bar tape. They have,
Oh, do they have tape now?
Oh,
Is it Rasta colored or is
Yeah.
it?
and they have jerseys.
I might have to get some of the tape
Yeah.
because I need that for my USA steel Rasta bike.
They have tie-dye jerseys.
I'm
and
going to order that tape when I get home.
bibs. That's right up your alley.
I'm pretty brand loyal on my bibs and stuff these days.
UCI pivots from planned race in Nice due to technical difficulties.
Yeah, that I hadn't heard. I saw that headline. And I was actually surprised. I hadn't heard boo on that one. Yeah, so UCI is at the moment venue and dateless for 2025
Yeah,
Gravel World
it
Championship.
says the UCI is hunting for a new home for its 2025 Gravel Worlds after various, air quotes, various constraints torpedoed original host city, Nice.
I'm wondering. Here's my grand gravel conspiracy brain kicking into overdrive again.
It's not a conspiracy if it's true.
Technically, yes, it would still be a conspiracy, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. Is this the leverage that UCI is going to use as the excuse to partner up with Unbound or Gravel Worlds or SBT or something like that to quickly get the world?
UCI needs all of those people more than they need the UCI.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
I think the UCI is in need of a home and in need of help.
I don't think you can have a Gravel World Championship not be in the United States myself, but maybe that's just my freedom brain cooking there.
Maybe they'll take it to Canada.
That could be interesting too. I know they've got dirt roads in Canada.
Plenty.
But
I think, personally, I think Gravel Worlds should be in Iowa. That's what I think. I think Iowa has the best gravel.
So you think Guitar Ted should head it up?
I don't know who, but I just think from the gravel that I've seen, Iowa has the best.
So we'll get New York Roll and Guitar Ted to hit up the UCI and say, hey, we'll show you how to put on a Gravel World Championship.
Hold my beer, watch this. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
I think that covers everything you sent as well. Silka, Gravel Worlds, Shimano 12-speed GRX Di2 long-term review, 2x shifting for off-road riding isn't dead after all.
I was just touching on the two. I still think there's a place for 2x. I think we'll see more 2x setups in gravel down the road. But I could be wrong. Maybe 13 speed is the shit and everybody goes, and then we go 14 speed and then we go 15 speed and all one by.
The thing that most people don't understand, though, is there are more detriments to a 13 speed than there are to having a front derailleur.
I basically say that over 10 speed myself.
Yeah, when you talk about chain line and inefficiencies, from a energy loss perspective and degradation of your drivetrain, 13 speed is great if you're a pro level rider.
With a professional mechanic that's able to
Yeah.
fiddle with it 3 times a day.
And all the curmudgeon-y towards a front derailleur is based on a decade ago technology. Front derailleurs are so much better now than they've ever been. Everything on bikes, for the most part, is better than it's ever been. But now you can run an electric front derailleur, electronic, whatever, so you don't have to route any wires. You can set it up really simply, and it can all be adjusted.
And it's got trim too, right?
Yeah, and it's got trim. But even if you went to a friction shifter, you still have more range. You can get more range out of a double up front than you can with your 520% gain in the rear. I think people think that it's easier to set up with a 1x, and they think, oh, I'm losing all this weight. The weight loss is minimal, but what ends up happening is on a 13 speed, you've got this huge range you have to hit, and it's all coming off that front chain ring. There are some shifting, forgive that, but with the rear derailleur, where the rear derailleur, if you look at like a 12-speed derailleur, if you shift it without the chain in, you can see the derailleur help the chain line a little bit, but still, you're getting a lot of cross chain in those high and lows. So, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. I think that the world's going to come back to 2x setups myself. There will always be 1xs. I'm not saying they're going to disappear.
Sure.
I think people are going to recognize the benefit of 2x. What, SRAM doesn't have a 2x setup of any kind right now, right?
That I don't know.
That's my understanding. I could be wrong. We don't need to research it this time around, but I think Shimano's the game if you do want to go 2x. I will say this. I was expecting utter frustration with the 12-speed setup on my $750 state bike yesterday, and it was flawless. I was amazed. So I could be proven wrong. I may become a 12-speed single convert after some time, because if you can do it on a $750 bike, I can only imagine what you can do on a $7,500 bike.
They do have 8 front derailleurs, which leads me to believe that they have
Eagle or...
So there's Axis, Red Axis, Force Axis, which is just their electronic Force Axis, Rival ETAP Axis, Rival ETAP Axis, Red ETAP Axis. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Rival 22, Force 22.
For some reason, I had it in my head that SRAM only did 1x right now. But like I said, I do not get into the geek level of components at all anymore.
That's fair.
I'm very 2012 in my components head.
And I think it's not a bad place to be to let things evolve a little bit and be a late adapter.
I am not a bleeding edge technology guy by any stretch of the imagination. Not that I'm against innovation.
That being said, I was enamored with the transmission, the T-type, when it first came out. We talked about it on this.
Oh, we talked about it every episode for 6 months.
Yeah. And I purposefully didn't even jack with anything until I was able to get a set of components. And it was one of those things that when they first came out, the price point was alarming for the group set. For me, I just boil water for a living, so I didn't think I would have a group set for 4 or 5 years. And then when the GX, they ran a sale on the GX, and it was almost so cheap you could not do it. I think I ended up getting the full group set minus the cranks for $600, maybe a little bit north of that. But that's cassette, chain, derailleur, shifter. I think that was everything. Obviously, battery and charger. But other than the fact that your battery could die, but the battery is... Have you seen how small the battery is on that thing?
No, I haven't.
I need to show you. It's maybe the size of a AAA battery. So it would be nothing for you to carry another battery.
Sure.
And then I guess, obviously, there could be some connectivity issues. You could have some catastrophic failure where your components just don't talk to each other and you're in the middle of nowhere. But other than that, shit has been absolutely flawless. This is hard for me to say because I have been a hold-off of electronic shifting, electronic, what are we calling it? Wireless shifting. For a while, thinking, this is a solution looking for a problem almost. But one of those things, when it first came out, it was wrought with issues and connectivity and cross-talking and everything else. But I think they've got it nailed. And I think it's inevitable that it's only going to get better and it's going to start showing up more and more. It's going to be the go-to at some point. And I don't even know what the deal is right now as far as percentage-wise, like what SRAM is selling more of, electronic shifting versus cable-actuated shifting, and Shimano as well. I don't know if they're doing more electronic versus cable, but if they're not already, I feel like in the next 5 years, electronic shifting is going to be the majority.
I think it's like carbon frames. I think electronic shifting is going to be the standard.
Yeah.
At, call it a $3,000 price point and up.
Yeah.
Probably even cheaper. But we'll say if you're looking at a $3,000 bike, it's going to come with electronic shifting. Yeah. If it doesn't, we may already be there, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. As an events promoter, I can definitely say that the biggest problem I see at events, though, is electronic shifting.
Over tire failure?
That's where I was about to go.
Yeah.
When I first started out, tire failure we had events where half the field were flatting tires.
Yeah.
We started out in 2010, by 2020, that's very rare.
Yeah.
There's a couple flats every race,
Sure.
sort of thing.
Tires have gotten better. Tubeless technology.
Everybody's almost everybody except
Yeah.
the people in Macon, Georgia, are tubeless.
Yeah. But they have sealant in there too.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
Probably better. I consider tire punctures a completely different realm from any other mechanical failure.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, probably the top mechanical failures have just been broken shit. A wheel failure, a bar failure, or whatever else. Crank arm comes off. Just really random, uncommon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, sheer derailleurs in the mud. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Probably every event, there's at least 3 or 4 people in the bigger events. It gets up into the 20s where it's not working. It is super common with electronic shifting, and that's not with. I would say the majority of the field still doesn't have electronic shifting at these events, and we're seeing that much of an issue with them. And I'm not saying that that makes it bad. I'm just saying it shows me there's a problem there. Thing that personally, as durability oriented as I am, as low maintenance oriented as I am, I'm going to stick with cables for a while, more than likely.
But I would say that's an operator error.
Not always. So battery failures have been pretty common. It's really common for people. I charged this thing last night. That's really common.
So the one thing I will tell you with SRAM versus Shimano that I learned is SRAM has a shake to wake feature, meaning your derailleur and your shifter go into a sleep mode with inactivity. But you can literally take the bike and bounce it, and it wakes up. So now you're using battery power to make connection, right?
Okay.
Shimano doesn't do that. Shimano, you have to tap the shifter in order to wake it.
Okay.
Now, here's where this becomes important. I charged my battery last night. I drive 4 hours.
Yeah. What if you're just on a hitch rack going down the road?
There you go. For that reason, and that reason alone, SRAM recommends that you remove your battery during transportation, which is not a bad idea anyways. That being said, I completely forgot.
That increases your opportunity to misplace your battery.
That's another point. But I did not remove my battery when I transported my Chumba 570 miles to Terlingua. And
on less than smooth roads.
Oh, yeah. It was highway most of the time. But it's safe to say that bike got shaken constantly. And then I went on.
There was an expansion joint or two along the way.
Oh, yeah. And then I went on two rides, nothing major. I think it was maybe 25 miles combined or 30 miles combined. And I had 0 battery issues, and then transported it all the way back and still didn't charge my battery and went on a ride on Sunday. So I don't know how active that communication is, but I will tell you that is a perk of Shimano versus SRAM. That being said, I don't know about Shimano, but with SRAM, I can, once again, wake up my system, and I can go on the app, and I can look and see how much battery I have, So I would think if you're charging your battery and you're keeping up with it, that's the biggest problem, is forgetting your battery at the house when you travel somewhere to ride, or losing your battery altogether. So
the saving grace at this point, by the increase in popularity of the electronic shifting, has been almost every situation I've heard about. I don't hear about them all, but almost every situation, if somebody forgot their battery, if somebody lost a battery, if somebody had a battery failure, there's usually somebody around that is able to, I've got a spare in my Camelback or whatever else. But, oh, damn it. I was about to say, let's wrap this up while it's not saying right error, but there's the right error message one more time. So I'm going to ramble for a little bit here until the right error goes away, and then we'll do the rollout. It's going to be interesting to see what may or may not be missing from this I do believe it's time to reformat my card, most likely. Or maybe we've just worn out this podcast recorder, and
Maybe.
it's possible. This was the state bicycle of podcast recorders. I didn't buy the big fancy one to try out as an experiment. Okay, so at the moment we don't have a right air. Do you have a message for everybody out there, Brad?
Yeah, let's ride bikes outdoors.